Hello everyone. So this is an informational session on graduation assessment. Like I don't know if you started several years ago, and it was called the e-portfolio or certificate portfolio, but we changed the name to graduation assessment, but they are the same. So the the main reason why we are doing this graduation assessment, this is the outcome assessment. And actually, it's more for the school than for the students. The university requires us to do outcome assessment, and AOA accreditation requires us to do outcome assessment. Basically, we say that we are doing what we said we are doing, and we said that we're gonna like teach students, and those are the skills students need to acquire, and we are doing that. Um, but also it's been very helpful for students as well, and that is at the end of the semester, students go back and think about the educational experiences here, and it's very helpful when you go out to job interviews. You thought about the projects you do, the skills you gain here, and some of the narratives you use in your reflective essay can be used during your job interview, during the sometimes cover letter, or your interaction with your employer. So I found students has found that that can be very helpful too. We use the outcome, the results of the assessment to improve the curriculum. And yeah, we've been doing this for multiple rounds, whether something with the learning outcomes or the way we address the learning outcomes, we are improving the process, but also we use this to inform our curriculum changes. For instance, there are students have mentioned about like we lack of polity courses or intellectual property courses. So faculty has developed a one credit course for that. So that's also a way to for the school to keep change in keep improve our curriculum. And one thing that is particularly important for this semester, spring summer semester, is that there were some changes, and I just want you to know you are aware of these changes, and we are applying those changes to this semester. This is also kind of to prepare our school's accreditation in October. So we have upcoming accreditation visit from AOA in October, and we are just trying to um, keep improving. So we have some changes. The good thing about trying this in spring summer is that students have a much longer time to work on it, and because it's due in August, so students have like about 2 months or more to work on this. So that's good, and it's like students graduating in spring summer has a longer time, yeah, for this. So there are three kinds of graduation assessment. Yeah, I'm still thinking about ways to keep this simple, but currently I just want you you to be aware that there are three kinds of graduation assessment. Most of our students are in the first category, the MLIS graduation assessment. Basically, if you are getting your MLIS degree, you have to do the graduation assessment. It's a graduation requirement. Most of our students are in the first category. For this category, we have new learning outcomes. So the learning outcomes have changed, and in your graduation assessment, particularly your essay, you need to address the new learning outcome. Because of the change of the learning outcome, particularly previously we have 10 learning outcomes, the new ones has only 4. So we also modified the process. I mean, how you write the reflective essay. So this is the part that has the biggest change. We also have graduating students for the MSIS. Previously is MSIM. Because of the degree name change, we also update the learning outcomes. So the new learning outcomes also become effective in spring summer semesters. If you are graduating in spring summer semesters for the MSIS, you need to write to the new learning outcomes. But for the certificate graduation assessment, there's no change there. So I will talk about each of them. And they are color coded. So if it's red, it's MLIS graduation assessment. So basically, what the requirements, right? Yeah, could be asked about the requirements. So the requirements, you need to upload. You need to work on a reflective essay, and then along with your essay, you also need to upload 4 artifacts, and then also your resume, and then there's a survey. For the reflective essay, it's a kind of formal essay in terms of it has introduction, cover page, introduction, narrative. You write, you write, and then references. It's kind of formal. Introduction, conclusion, references, formal, but it's also like first person narrative. So it's a kind of reflective essay. Um, and um, and for in the reflective essay, you need to talk about the learning outcomes. We have no, these are the, like, I think it's just update. Well, we've been working on, the faculty has been working on this, and I think it's just posted on the website last week or something. So now we have this 4 new learning outcomes about the degree. It's a significant cut down from 10 to 4. And so those are the 4 learning outcomes you need to discuss. And you need to discuss each of them. So in your reflective essay, you talk about each learning outcome, what you think they mean to you, how you understand it, your understanding, and then you use a course artifact to say that what you did in that artifact demonstrate that you are proficient in this learning outcome. Um, like, I don't know, always like to use number 3, for instance, demonstrate professional competency, leadership, critical thinking, research, communication, cultural competence, technology development, use, long-term learning. And you can talk about what they mean to you, and then you can use an artifact to say you are proficient. Because there are multiple components, like for 3, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9 or 10. You can just talk part of it. You don't need to talk about every element here. That would be too long. You can just talk about 1 or 2 of them. For instance, like technology development. You can use your technology classes, or yeah, anything relating to your technology use and development. You can use that artifact to say you are proficient in it. Like research, right? Research, you can use what you learned in the research proposal for that one. Cultural competence, a lot of your classes, we talk about like for instance, there's one Dr. Kafi Kumasi's class on culture matters, and then talk about develop your cultural awareness, and then assignments in that you can use to demonstrate your cultural competence in that. So you don't need to talk about address every element. You can just address 1 or 2 of those elements, but you need to work on each of the learning outcomes. So for each learning outcome, talk about what they mean to you, and then use a course artifact to say to show you are competent in it. Yeah. So you need to cover each of the 4 learning outcomes. So all 4 of them. And for each one, you need to do this. So 300 to 305 words for each. And then, so there will be 4 learning outcomes, 4 artifacts in total. So this will be your yeah, you in the essay you talk about the artifacts. For instance, in your 680 class, you did this project to show your competency in learning outcome number 3. And in Canvas, you also need to upload that artifacts as part of your graduation portfolio. Yes, the reflective essay, actually, you are encouraged to use first person narrative, but it's also it's a paper essay with introduction, with conclusion, but use first narrative because it's about your educational experiences. And the website has been updated with all the new learning outcomes. I just checked. I've been working with staff, particularly Christian staff, very diligently last week to make sure we are all updated. Yeah, so it's there. Yeah, it's there. The screenshots I use here are from the school website. I will later show you where they are, just to point you to the correct place. Yeah. So the reflective essay is the most important piece, is the one faculty will put their majority of our attention on that's how we evaluate your competencies, how you talk about the learning outcomes, how you discuss the artifact in relation to the learning outcome, and your structure, your language, yeah, and yes, and so nice. Thank you, Amber, for answering questions there. And so you talk about the artifacts, and you also need to upload the artifacts to Canvas, and you also upload a copy of your resume. Again, our school offers career advising services to current students, to alumni. Our career advising service, it's excellent, and I think students underuse them really. Yeah, Dr. Kim Schroeder is doing a wonderful job there. It's preparing a lot, and I think it's way underused. Yeah, so particularly if you are in the job market, even if you graduate, you can like send your resume for her to help mock interviews. Well, something related, but you can have a professional resume, and then also in Canvas a survey, self-reported survey. Yeah, so that's for the MLIS graduation assignments. Very good question about the artifact. So artifact is basically assignments from your school, and assignments from your school. And partly because that the graduation assessment, it's partly it's for the school outcome assessment. So in the past I hear, for instance, students talk about their volunteering experiences, talk about that very good experiences, how they learn from another librarian and really develop that competency. It's a great essay piece, but you need to use the artifact because this is partly it's about our school doing what we are doing. So please use artifact because that's how you learn. How our school teach those skills. You can get a lot of those skills from other places like volunteering experiences, webinar, and it's a continuing learning experiences from our profession, right? You actually should do that. But for this graduation assessment, just focus on the artifact, the courses you take from the school. The artifacts can be, yeah, probably it's more like a major assignments, and it can be, it doesn't, when you submit the assignments, the reviewers, the faculty will not regrade your assignments. We will not like grade it again or give you any comments or grades. We just see how you tie the artifacts to the essay. We will grade the essay, but not the artifact, because you already turned in that assignment and your instructors in that class should already review your artifacts or assignments. So we will not grade your artifacts. We will just see how your discussion tied the artifacts to the learning outcomes. You can use group assignments. You can it's in a wide variety of format. It's one artifact per outcome. Yeah. It's the video. I'm not sure whether PowerPoint is yeah, a question asked about whether PowerPoint is available to download. I don't know. The video will be posted. Yeah. You just need for the artifact, so you don't need to include the grades, you don't need to include your instructor comments, you just upload the artifacts already graded. We won't the reviewers won't grade your artifacts again. Yeah. Yeah, so yeah, so it's about 300 to, yeah, this is not per learning outcome. So 300 to 300 words per learning outcome. And then you have the beginning, introduction, conclusion. I think it's 300 or 700. I don't know. I think it's 1500 to words in total. Yeah. So in total, it's about 1500 to 1700 words in total. A lot of students actually went over a little bit. It's okay if you went over a little bit. Yeah. So if practicum, if you are one of the practicum, it's our course, you should use that. Yes, whether it's an incomplete or pass and fail, yeah, yeah, and sometimes you don't even need to use the whole assignments. Like for 680, there's one budgeting project. It has 4 components. For instance, you can even just use part of the components. I think what's more important is how you talk about the artifact, talk about the background of the artifact and why what you do for that artifact show that you are proficient in that competency. It's more about how you discuss the artifact and how you relate the artifact to the learning outcomes. So about the word total, this is 300 to 300 words per learning outcome, and then you also have the opening. You also have the introduction. You also need to talk about your professional philosophy in the end, and then yeah, and so those would include that as well. Yeah, most students go over. Not most students, many students go over a little bit. Yeah. So yeah, artifact. Yeah. Okay, yeah. Our school, I think the faculty, we are working on this, and this will make valuable to students that we actually discuss or analyze our course in the context of the 4 learning outcomes, and we may even give that curriculum rubrics. For instance, in my 60/80 class, I will say that, for instance, the budgeting project and the HTML project can be used for learning outcome number 3. And in 7996, that the research proposal can be used for learning outcome number 3. The faculty are working on this, so this can give you a rough idea, like what are the course artifacts you can use for each learning outcome. I think that may help, right? Yeah. So we are using that to help the students with this process. Yeah. So all this will be available to in Canvas. I will talk about the process later. The due dates is basically for spring summer semester is August 15th, and for fall semester is November 1st. For winter semester is March 1st. This will be the same deadline each year. Yeah. So this is MLIS. You see this is the this is a screenshot I take from our school website. In the student tab, there's a degree requirement menu on the left, and then under there we see there's an MSIS graduation assessment, MLIS graduation assessment, and certificate graduation assessment. So under each graduation assessment, we have the preparation page, instruction on how to write the essay, evaluation, basically the grading rubrics, and submission. So those are the places you get the detailed instructions for everything you need to do for graduation assessment. So just want you to know, point you to this. And those are the learning outcomes. I think it's linked somewhere probably in the writing the essay. It's also linked somewhere from here. And this is the discussion for our degree, and then this place for learning outcomes. So this is where you get the learning outcomes. Yeah, I think students should know about this when they enter the school. And so this is what will happen. Okay, so there's a question about ever failed the assessment. I probably can talk about this later in the end. Okay, so if I didn't, Rachel, remind me. Okay, yeah. So for the MSIS graduation assessment, the learning outcomes are new ones. Previously, I think we have 5. Now we have 6, and I like this one, this set better. It's kind of easier to understand. So now we have the 6 learning outcomes. They are the new ones, and we will just use this new set of learning outcomes for MSIS, previously MSIM, for starting this semester. This is actually what we have been doing for the past several years for our assessment. So you need to choose 2 learning outcomes. You will discuss 2 of the 6 learning outcome. One you identify, and the other is chosen by the school. I think for spring summer, it is number 2. So you will discuss 2 learning outcomes, and for each of the learning outcomes, you use 2 artifacts to support. So 2 multiplied by 2, we still have 4 artifacts. So the essay is the same. It's just that for the MLIS, you discuss 4 learning outcomes, use 1 for each learning outcome. For the MSIS, you discuss 2 learning outcomes and use 2 to support each learning outcome. So this is the major difference. I don't know. I may change it later. The school may change it later, but not now. Yeah. So, and then the survey questions. As I mentioned, we have the MSIS assessment site with 4 pages below, and everything you need to know is there. And those are the learning outcomes. Yeah, you can pick, I think the school choose number 2, so you have to talk about number 2, use 2 artifacts to support this. For instance, you can use definitely database. You can use the 6460, the database class, and there may be database elements for in 6000 or in 79. There may be other places, so you can use courses from there. Yeah. Okay. So that's the MSIS. And certificate graduation assessment, there's no change. Um, if you are getting a certificate, you also need to do this graduation assessment. It's it's graduation requirement. So if you are getting your master degree and the certificate, you need to do both. If you are getting one master degree and two certificates, well, this happened to a handful of our students, and then you need to do one graduation assessment for your MLIS and then two graduation assessment for the two certificates. So you need one for each certificate, right? Yeah. So make sure you are doing that. It will be a separate Canvas site. Um, so if you are getting your master degree and your certificate, so you'll be invited into two Canvas sites, and you'll need to finish both. But we have the same due date and same timeline. So for certificate graduation assessment, it is a little bit different. It's a demonstrative essay. It's this time you talk about two course artifacts. Artifacts is the same, but it's from a certificate specific course. And in that specific certificate specific course, you choose one artifact, and then from that one artifact, you tie it to two learning outcomes, right? So two artifact for 3 to 4 learning outcomes. So it's a little bit the other way around. And then we also have professional resume and survey. So for instance, you have like two artifacts from like 773 0, you talk about from an archival, you talk about learning outcome number 2 and number 8. And then from another course artifact, for instance, 7780, you can talk about learning outcome number 2 and 5, or you talk about learning outcome number 2 again, but you count you have to talk about 3 different learning outcomes. Yeah, so this is how the demonstrative essay certificate graduation assessment is a little bit different from the master degree. It's also a formal one with introduction, conclusion. You also use a first person narrative. Um, Other than that, yeah, in that sense, it's very similar to reflective essay. Yeah, yeah, you can use CV, you can use resume. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Um, yeah, we will think about later the the slides. Okay. So that's what happens. So process what actually happened. So what happens in my last semester about this graduation assessment and certificate graduation assessment. So first, you really need to apply for graduation. Graduation is usually, I think, the end of fifth week. I think so. And end of fifth week, you apply for graduation. If you are getting your master and your certificate, remember to apply for both. Right, right. And after the deadline, the graduation assessment, for instance, in the end of fifth week, we will generate like a roster from the university about those students who graduate, and then we will get the roster into the Canvas site. So you will get an invitation after the graduation application deadline. Some students like apply, for instance, already the semester starts last Friday. Some students already apply for graduation, but we can't handle this like one student per time. We are getting the roster from the university after the graduation application deadline. So you may have to wait for other students. After the graduation application deadline, you'll get an invitation. Probably, I think sometime in June. Yeah, early June. And then from June, you have for spring summer time from June, you have about 2 months, and the deadline is August 15th. Like in fall semester, the deadline probably, I don't know, it's late or early October. And then students are invited into the Canvas site probably like second week in October. And then you have about 2 weeks, 3 weeks to work on this and then turn in the deadline for fourth semester is November 1st. But you actually don't need to wait till you are invited to Canvas for that, right? You can start working on this in your last semester. And then when you are invited to the Canvas site, all you need to do is just upload and then complete the survey. You don't need to wait till you are invited to Canvas site to start working on your reflective essay. You can start that earlier, or you can start even a year earlier and don't need to wait in your last semester. Yeah, but in your last semester, just kind of set aside a little bit time, not a little bit, set aside some time to work on the graduation assessment so you pass this degree. And you upload the files, you complete the survey by deadline, and then you wait. Like depending on faculty schedules, some students get their grades earlier than others, and some faculty get it right away. Some faculty, depending on their own schedule, may take a longer time to review it. And as Amber said, like sometimes you can get a grade in a month. Some can get a grade like in 2 weeks. So it's really differ by faculty and is randomly assigned. Randomly assigned. Each student's graduation assessment materials will be reviewed by a review team group of 2 faculty, and is randomly assigned. So the faculty don't know who they get. You don't know which faculty reviewer you get. Then you can see the grades, and then you probably, if you get a grade of 21 or above, you pass this requirement. We do have students who fail. Not every semester, but many semesters. And basically, what happens is that the reviewers will discuss, and then to see, in most cases, students get another chance to rework on their essay, or sometimes it's like the artifacts. Most of the time is the essay. Most of the time, sometimes the students don't talk about the reflective, don't talk about the artifacts in their essay, or it's just too superficial, it's not comprehensive enough, or so the students may get another chance to work on it and then try again. That happens a lot. Yeah, that happens a lot. But you do need to like have a completed graduation assessment, like you uploaded all the required elements, and then in order for you to graduate. Yeah. So that's kind of what happens. There may be changes because we are reviewing the process, and we are making updates to the process to keep improving it. So if you are graduating later semesters, always check our website for the latest information. Yeah. The grading rubrics, it's getting, so for the MSIS, there are 7 columns, 5 points for each column. And then, so the total will be 35. If you get 21 or above, you pass the requirements. Just be aware that the grades won't be, the grades does not count towards your GPA. The grade won't appear in your transcript. The grade won't appear on your diploma. Yeah. So yeah, so just like if you yeah, just want to know that, yeah, if you pass, you get 21 or above, you pass this requirement. So those are the requirements. For the first four, it's about the essay, like how you talk about the learning outcome, how you tie the learning outcome to the artifact, and later is the professional philosophy, the concluding piece. You need to talk about the professional philosophy. What do you think MLIS mean to you? What do you think the archival administration certificate mean to you, or what do you think an archivist mean, something like that. And then the writing as a whole. Yeah. So that's the grading rubrics for the certificate. For the MLIS, just like a point for each learning outcome. And then the concluding piece for your professional philosophy, and then your writing skills. Yeah. Um, so this is the assessment. Yeah. Um, have a question, yeah, Rachel, about the sample assessment. This has actually come a lot, but the faculty has also discussed this and then think that it may not be a good idea because it limits the way students can prepare their graduation assessment. Students may take it differently, particularly in their understanding of the learning outcomes. So there is no sample assessment, graduation sample at reflective essay to prepare for the students. But there are something I just want you to call attention to. It's just that the way you structure the essay, this kind of really helps. um, like for your reflective essay or demonstrative essay, just structure is something important. Structure helps you to organize your ideas. It also helps the faculty to follow your ideas. So I highly recommend you use some structure and organize your ideas and in paragraphs and then use subheadings. It really helps. I've seen even this semester, I've seen students like write everything in one long paragraph, a paragraph of 2 pages. It's hard for you to write. It's hard for the reviewers to follow you. I mean, just like each, use like even just organize your ideas by paragraphs, that would help. I mean, like you can't have 3 pages of one paragraph. It's really hard to follow the logic flow of your structure of your of the essay. So structure really helps. Title page and introduction section, and then for the MLIS, basically like learning outcome number one, and then would you a paragraph or two to say how you understand it, and then your artifacts um, to 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 tie your artifacts to that first learning outcome, then second learning outcome, third learning outcome, fourth learning outcome. Use some subject headings to organize your ideas, and then concluding and references. References are not required, but many students do, and it kind of helps. And because we are graduating students, it's just not required. We won't fail you if you don't provide any references, but many students do. And if you do, follow APA and follow APA. Yeah, most of us use APA format, and yeah. Just tell you, like, we are library science students. Sometimes we still see students like poorly formatted references, and it's really make us feel very bad. I think we are creating like library science students who cannot even produce properly formatted references. Make us feel sad. Yeah, and just yeah. So structure helps, subheading helps, and the artifacts, just like the faculty, we are looking for the artifacts, how you talk about them, which courses they are from. So just make the course name and course title, particularly course number. Yeah, course number just clear. And then, for instance, this is from 60/80 budgeting project. So we know the important elements is there. So this, I think, is just make the faculty's life a little bit easier to know what you are talking about. Particularly when we see the course numbers, we say, oh, okay, this is about reference class. This is about the research class. The students are discussing this. Sometimes if we have to read between the line and really pick out which courses it is from, it's a little bit hard. So make that like make it explicit, so helps the faculty in the reviewer. Yeah, yeah. Um, References refers to, yeah, outside sources. You don't need to cite yourself because it's a reflective essay and you are using your own artifacts to support your learning competency as instructed. You do not need to cite your own artifacts. But for references, external references, some literature, yeah. Yeah, so do not cite your own artifacts. Really don't need to do that. The reference is more referred to the literature, research reports, even some of your, yeah, what you learned at 60/80, what things like that. Yeah. Okay. So the change, that's a very legit question, Katie, about asking changes. How can we prepare in advance? Usually, like for this one, usually it should be at least at the like before the semester starts, so at the beginning of the semester. Yeah. Yeah, for this one, it can be challenging, I admit that. Particularly, I know some of you in your 60/10, you probably like write a little bit reflective essay for part of your assignment. And so now the learning outcome changes. Yeah, I do see that, Katie, particularly for this semester. It's yeah, a lot of changes. But luckily, we have longer periods of time. It like students about at least 2 months to work on this, and I still think like you can reuse, even if you produce some draft reflective essay in your 60/10, you can reuse many of them for this. Yeah, because our course content it's not a total rehaul of our course content. We just talk about the learning outcomes in a different way, organize them in a different way. So the core remains the same. It's just that the learning outcomes, we frame it differently. So I think a lot of things you can still use. Yeah. So does that help, Katie? Yeah. Yeah. So at least there will be yeah, at least like before the semester starts. Yeah. And previously for the MLIS, the graduation assessment, students need to get the like learning outcome to write about from the school. And that is still the case for the MSIS one, but it's no longer the case for the MLIS one. So students don't need to wait till the last semester to know which learning outcome they are told to write, because now you talk about every one of them. It's only 4 of them, so you now talk about every one of them. Yeah. Okay, so what else? Yeah. So yeah, don't wait till the last minute. And I yeah, still think that this is very helpful from my review, from my many years of reviewing the portfolio, or when I chat with other faculty. It's kind of readability. It's one of the ways we communicate. Um, so having one paragraph that stretches to 3 pages does not really help help us to follow the students' logic. Yeah, so have some headings, subheadings, like each paragraph is about one idea instead of like talk 10 different things in one paragraph, but like spreading out 3 pages. It's not good writing. Um, it other, I think, okay, so Jennifer asked about side programs used. We use um, what's the courses and artifacts. The artifacts would be like what you produce, right? Course assignments. So the programs would be in the context of the assignments. So you can talk about like for instance, you talk about the database, right? Database class. You can talk about in the context of that artifact, you learn how to use a certain programming language, things like that, that demonstrate your proficiency in technology development use. Would that help? Does that help? Yeah. um, Workshop. I think I have this informational session, hopefully like once a year or something. That can be an opportunity to get help, to ask questions. And you can always email me, email Amber, or ask your instructor, ask your advisor for recommendations for artifacts. Um, yeah, I hope that helps. Yeah, I actually see this like it's not as challenging as students think. Many of the course assignments probably like it's more challenging than this, and it's your last semester. Yeah, it's not as you've done this. You've been working through your programs at least like 12 courses already. So you are prepared. You should be okay. Yeah. Um, so Carla, you asked about the learning outcome number 2, depending on your courses, right? Yeah. So it's about database and data sets to uncover and present insights that support decision making. So it's like about data analytics. What database or data sets. I think anything that relates to data analytics would help for this one. Yeah. So Carla, you are graduating this spring semester. Yeah. Okay. So, and lastly, questions, and I'm here to help. And Amber, what's your email address? You can put it in the chat. Okay. Oh, that's easy. Yeah. So like Amber can help, I can help. If you have any graduation related courses, Amber probably can help you better in that way. If you have more like curriculum related questions, and I can help. Yeah. Um, yeah. I will be out of the country for part of the summer, but I will be back. And it's due in April 15th. Yeah. Okay, so okay, so students asked about the Canvas side. Basically, this is the master you're getting, whether you get MLS or MSIS certificate. So you'll be invited to this one, and we set it up, but you don't have access to it now yet because it's not. You can get an invitation after the graduation application deadline, because after that we can generate the list from the university. So you are invited to this one. There will be some instructional, like this will be the link for today's recording, a link to the learning outcomes, and then place you submit. I think it's the way you submit to any Canvas place. Yeah, any Canvas site. You upload your essay, you upload your professional, your CV or resume. Upload the full artifacts. You take the survey. You can take a look at the survey. So basically, like you rate your competency in each of the four learning outcomes, and there are additional ones like which do you think is list covered, what courses were most beneficial to you, and what topics you think that you wish you have taken or you hope the school can add to the curriculum. So this is the survey, um, and then those are the things you just upload, and you will be introduced to this one. And there's another place for questions. And so if you have any questions, you can post here as well. You can also, I think you can also create forums here and ask questions. You can also jump in to help. Most of the things will be available in the on the site. Yeah. So this is the graduation assessment. So there's another one for certificate. Yeah, the instructions, the surveys, the learning outcomes for each of the certificate, and then the place you submit. Yeah, and grades. So those are the place you see your points. Assessment 1, assessment 2, there were 7 columns and 5 points each. So if you get 21 above, you pass this requirements. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. That is true. Yeah, all this information is available in the degree, in the students tab, degree requirement, and then those 3 graduation assessment one. Okay, so thank you, Amber. I think you get all the questions. Any other question? Um, The 5 points is not just to submitting the artifacts, it's more about the evaluating, like whether it's a proper artifact in terms of how you talk about it in relations to the learning outcomes. Does that make sense, Rachel? Yeah, this is the certificate one. Yeah. Yeah, so it's not about the artifact. It's more about how you learn from that artifact and how that show you mastered or you are proficient in that learning outcomes. Um, okay, so yeah, so assessment one, first learning outcome, artifacts, second learning outcome, artifacts. Yeah. Yeah, that's a very good point Amber made. It's more about the learning outcomes, how that how the artifact tied to the learning outcomes. It's not that you choose the best learning outcome. Yeah, it's more about how you talk about that learning outcome, tie it to the know about how you tie that artifact to the learning outcomes. Yes, yeah. They can be, yeah, relevant. Yeah. And you definitely will get an opportunity to talk about the projects you are most proud of by relating to the learning outcomes. And that's the learning outcome for the MLIS. Yeah. The Jackie, the August 15th is is the deadline for you to turn in the graduation assessment, but you need to apply for graduation in early June, right? Those are two separate things. Yeah, so you can apply for degree graduation already. So apply that and then wait till sometime in June for the invitation to access the campus site. Yeah, I'm sorry it was never graded. But yes, you can use it. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. It's more about what you learn from the process. Yeah. What you learn. Yeah. By working on that assignments. Yeah. Okay, great. Yeah. Thank you, Amber, for handling some questions relating to graduation. Is there any question that we miss? Okay, so I hope to do this once a year and or yeah, and to see whether you have any questions. And you can always use the discussion forum or email Amber or me. And yeah. So yeah, so for all of you who are graduating this this semester, so congratulations on your last semester, and then you have a lot more time to work on this. And I think for yeah, this is one of the graduation requirements. After this, there will be other like degree audit thing handled by the school. I don't know when you get the actual degree, but this is part of that. If you are not graduating this semester, just think about your last semester. Just prepare some time to work on the graduation assessment stuff and but you can always think about how you're going to write that essay. Just store it somewhere in the back of your head, and the learning outcomes, what kind of artifacts you can use to help, just yeah, somewhere back in the head. And yeah, congratulations. Yeah. Okay. Okay, glad. I will definitely upload the slides to Canvas. Definitely, I will think about what we can do. But the recording will definitely be available.